turn this into this. Hey guys, welcome back to At the Table. Sydney here, and I have my guest, Kiera, our intern for this spring. And we are continuing with our Living Well month and talking about different things that relate to living well and what we promote here at Cooperative Extension. So today's episode is all about eating on a budget. And a lot of the things that we talk about in Extension, a lot of the programs that we offer incorporate how to eat at a lower budget and make your meals last for longer. And Kiera is in college, so you know all about eating on a budget, right?
Yes, I do. I eat a lot of oodles and noodles.
Those get old after a while, so it's good to have some different things that we can consume and get those healthy vegetables in as well. That's also very cost effective, not spending a whole lot of money. So we're gonna start over here. We have 2 recipes that we can make. And we're going to start with our mushroom beef burgers, and then Kiera will be working on our vegetable jambalaya here shortly. So what we're going to do, I've already done a few of the steps for our mushroom beef burgers, and you may remember one of the tips that we have done in the past when we made a certain taco recipe used mushrooms. And this is a really great technique to stretch that meat. So whether you're using ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, ground pork, it's a way for you to stretch that further so that you are getting a lot of you are getting a little bit more vegetables included, but your meat is going further. So meat can cost a little bit more than some of our other foods. So this is a way for you to spend a little bit less and get more food out of it. So what I've done to start with is I went ahead, it doesn't look very pretty, but I took our mushrooms and we had I have halved this recipe. This will make 4 burgers, but the original recipe makes 8. This is from our Med Instead of Meds website. So I did 2 of the containers of the mushrooms, which is a total of 16 ounces. And you just get those really finely chopped. I used a small food processor, and then you cook them down for about 6 minutes. If you start to get some water, go ahead and strain that because you don't want to have a whole lot of extra water, extra liquid in your burgers. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna add all of this stuff together. So we have our mushrooms here, and those are cooked. They also had to cool for about 30 minutes. So you want them to get completely cooled down before you actually use them. So next is our meat, and we have 1 pound. So it's a pound of mushrooms to a pound of meat. So it's equal parts. If you were to double this, it'd be 2 pounds and 2 pounds. And then our next step, my least favorite, is cutting this onion, which we are gonna do. So we only need about 1/4 cup of onion. And we also have a little bit of egg whites as well. So we just want to peel this. We actually need the rest of this onion for our jambalaya. So this way we can use the entire thing. I'm just going to go ahead and chop up the entire onion so that we can use it later as well. Anytime you are chopping your vegetables, a good tip for you is to go ahead. You've already got the knife out. You've already got the cutting board. Go ahead and chop the entire thing because that way you can add that to other things. So when Kiera is making her oodles and noodles, she could throw some onions in there if she wants. She could throw some bell peppers, whatever she might have on hand already chopped up that she doesn't have to put a lot of effort into. So I'm just going to cut this in half. You guys know we always talk about keeping that hair, so keeping the root end of your onion, and we are just going to, we'd cut off the stem end. So then we go through and we cut long ways, kind of in those little grooves. And then you chop the other direction. And it's in nice, finely chopped pieces. And I'm gonna have Kiera go ahead and start on our garlic and our celery over there.
All right, I'll get right to it.
And we're just gonna throw all of this together with our burgers. So there's not a ton of ingredients that go into this burger recipe. We do have some egg whites that I will need to grab as well, but other than that, it's just your mushrooms, your meat, your onions, and a little salt and pepper. So I'll throw that, and we'll finish this up. We'll see you guys back in just 1 second.
Whether you're returning from a family vacation, coming back from college, or even returning from serving our country, we know there's no place like home. And here at Performance Ford, we want to make sure you get there. That's why every Performance certified vehicle comes with the Performance Lifetime Powertrain Warranty. Performance Ford, welcome home.
Introducing the Star Communications app. All the tools you need in one convenient location. You can access Watch TV everywhere. Check local channel lineup. Check your Star email. View and pay your Star bill. Report troubles. Use your Star Security app. Check your home voicemail. Sign up for Crowd Fiber. Check your Wi-Fi speed. The list keeps going and going. Download for free from the App Store or Google Play.
All right, so we've got our mushrooms, our onions, and our burger all together. The next thing we're gonna add is our egg whites. And I like to use the carton of egg whites just because then I'm not wasting a whole egg. But if you just have eggs, that'll work as well. But we just need 1 egg white, which is 3 tablespoons of this. And then we're also just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper here. And if you wanted to, you could add other seasonings. You could do some like Italian seasoning, whatever you enjoy in your burgers. You go spicy with it, add a little bit of chili powder, paprika. We're just gonna do salt and pepper, and that's what the recipe calls for. But if you want to adjust it to your taste buds, then definitely go for it. So I put on some gloves here just because it makes it a little less messy for my hands. You're not getting stuff all in your fingernails and things. But you could do this without gloves if you don't have any. But we're just gonna mix it as good as we can, and then we are going to patty them into our patties. Patty them up. And it does have to sit. Now this is one of the reasons I rarely make this recipe, because the recipe recommends us to let them sit for about an hour in the fridge, just to kind of congeal, bind together a little bit more, and that way they won't fall apart when you are cooking them. We don't have that kind of time, so we are gonna put them in the fridge for just a little bit, but we're not going to probably make it to an hour. That'll be okay. They'll still cook up fine. But if you are making this at home, ideally you would let them sit for a little bit longer. So I'm gonna make these. We should get 4 burgers out of this. So if you wanted to stretch this even further, you could make them smaller. You could definitely, make this into more like 6 burgers if you want to. So that is one way that you can make your food stretch a little bit further and fit that budget, just by reducing, especially we talk about our protein. When you look at your My Plate, your protein is only 1/4 of the plate. Now we did add mushrooms to this, so you're getting into the vegetable section of our My Plate as well. But we are actually gonna get around 5 burgers here, just because these are pretty big, so I don't wanna go much bigger. But just keep that in mind. So we want to try to incorporate more of those vegetables into our diet, and then kind of lessen up on some of that protein, just because it can save you money. I'm actually going to add a little bit more here. So Kiera, if you want to go ahead and start on that celery, and then we can move into our jambalaya.
Alrighty.
Now, fun fact about celery, because we were just talking about this earlier, is that you hear a lot about celery not having a whole lot of calories, but it is still loaded with fiber. So just because celery might not be really calorie dense doesn't mean it's not a healthy vegetable for you to consume. You think about those strips that you get with the celery. That is the fibrous part of the celery that whenever you are eating it, it does help to fill you up and make you more full. So we've got our burgers all done here. They're nice and patted. They are pretty large. You can see how big they are. And this is supposed to make 4 burgers. So this actually stretches a little bit further than the recipe even says. But we are going to throw these into the refrigerator and let them just cool off and sit, hopefully bind together for just a little bit. So I'm going to go throw these in the fridge. And Kiera, do you mind handing me that bell pepper?
Sure.
I'll start chopping some of our other vegetables so that we can get this moving along to work on our vegetable jambalaya. Now with our bell pepper, the best way, you guys have seen me cut it a million times, to do a bell pepper is to chop off the top, and then you just work your way around. And then cut off the bottom. So you're left with that seed pod that isn't getting all in your pepper. And then you just chop it up. And you can just push out that top stem and it'll pop right out. So we're gonna finish up chopping these vegetables. We'll see you guys back in just 1 second to finish up our vegetable jambalaya.
Getting a new car or truck doesn't have to be difficult or expensive. Just let Performance Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram swap keys with you. Bring in your current vehicle, we'll swap keys and get you into a new car with Performance Peace of Mind lifetime powertrain warranty for the same or less than you're paying now. We've got a lot full of vehicles to choose from, and there's never been a better time to shop than the Start Something New sales event. It's about performance, and performance is taking care of you.
Many things have been stolen away during this time of uncertainty. No crowds to cheer on their favorite teams. Applause and pageantry have been stripped away. Thieves are looking to make your home empty and silent. Star Communications has the answer you are looking for. Security by Star. Automation and affordability along with friendly service makes for a security choice that is sure to keep your family cheering.
Doing such a good job cutting over here, Kiera, and this is something that we talk all the time about in our workshops.
Yes.
Being right here with you and you getting to practice and chop things yourself so that you can taste everything after we make it.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? That's the fun part, is eating the food.
Yes, I love to eat.
So we just added a little bit of oil to our pan, and we're gonna add our celery, our onion, and our bell pepper all to this pan. Let it sit for about 5 minutes. I'll let Kira go first over here. Turn it down just a little bit. So this is loaded with vegetables, definitely a little bit different than your traditional jambalaya, but it's got some really good ingredients in there to get all different colors of the rainbow into one dish, while also being really healthy for you, filling you up, satisfying you. That is such a big, an important part to what we eat, right? What we consume. We want to make sure that everything that we're eating is something we enjoy, but that's also filling us up, giving us those really great nutrients, and satisfying us. So we're going to let that cook for about 5 minutes, and we're both going to start working on tomatoes. So Kira's going to do the tomato for our recipe, our jambalaya recipe. I'm going to work on the tomato for our sandwiches, for our burgers. And I'm just going to slice these up. So Kira's is going to be chopped to go into our jambalaya. Mine's going to be more slices that you could add on top of your burger. All right, so we've got that ready. Really just waiting on those burgers to get nice and binded up. I'm going to show you guys a cookbook that I have used in the past, and this is actually where I got that vegetable jambalaya recipe from. And it's called Good and Cheap, Eat Well on $4 a Day, Good and Cheap from Leanne Brown. And this is something, I'll show you guys, this is our vegetable jambalaya. The really cool thing about this book is the fact that it does actually tell you how much the recipe costs, so the total cost of all the ingredients, and then it tells you how much it is per serving. So we hear all the time that eating healthy it's expensive, right? It costs too much money. We have more food waste because we're throwing away vegetables that have gone bad. So I love this cookbook because it does show you different things that you can make using similar food ingredients. And it also is just really easy to read. It's really more familiar recipes. So actually this one, the vegetable jambalaya we're doing today, it's $3.90 total to make the vegetable jambalaya. And then per serving, it's 65 cents per serving. So you can't go out to eat and eat something like this with this many different vegetables, wholesome brown rice, really things that are going to fill you up and give you what you need to satisfy you for 65 cents. Can you? That's tough, right?
Very tough.
Yes. And this would be affordable for a college student, right?
Yes.
So there is options to add in some sausage, some shrimp. If you want to do that, of course, that's going to adjust the cost and how much it is. But just wanted to show you guys this. I used this actually when I was in college, and it was a program that I used to do when I was in college with different communities. So really great one that I just wanted to bring back. So we're still working on our jambalaya here. I'm going to double check our recipe over here. We've still got a few more ingredients to add, and then we're going to add in our rice and our broth and just let it cook. So we'll go ahead and put in our seasonings and everything else as we go. So you can add your tomatoes. Now I did switch it up a little bit. The recipe called for a green chili, and I just didn't feel like chopping one of those up. So what I actually did was bought a can of tomatoes with green chilies, and it already has the chilies chopped up, and we've got our tomatoes, so we can mix that right in. And then we have 2 bay leaves. I'm going to pass you those here. We have a little bit of cayenne pepper. There's lots of spices in this. And spices can be something that we might not all have in our pantry, but they are a really great way to flavor up your food that also doesn't cost a whole lot, can stretch for a long amount of time. So we're gonna finish up adding our seasonings over here, and then we'll see you guys back in just 1 second. We'll tell you all the things that we put in there.
Sweetie, will you turn that down, please?
Keep life exciting, even when it's not. Watch TV everywhere from Star Communications.
After completing my contract, I still have to buy out of it? Come on. Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping home secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody try to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
All right, so we have our burgers already done, put into our pan. So I've started them on one side. You want to cook about 5 to 6 minutes on each side before they are done. And when we're checking our burgers, anytime you're using a ground meat, you want to make sure it comes to an internal temperature of 160. So we will temp check these once they're all done, but we want to make sure that it's cooking one side really well, and then we'll give them a good flip. And we've got all of our seasonings into our jambalaya over here. And Kira, how about you tell us what all we put into that?
All right, so first we use 2 bay leaves. Then we added 1 teaspoon of paprika. Then we added another teaspoon of garlic powder, cayenne pepper, dried thyme. We also added a half a teaspoon, of dried oregano, a teaspoon of salt and pepper, and we also added a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Awesome. And now that this is going, I'm going to add some rice and some vegetable broth.
Perfect. And we did add a little bit of garlic as well.
Yes, we did.
So we've got lots of really good seasonings in there, and that will help to flavor it up really nicely. And fill it all the way up to the top, and that way we know it gets exactly, actually just throw that whole entire, well, no, that's okay. That's good. Thought about just using that whole bag, which you could absolutely do if you choose. You just might want to adjust the vegetable broth if you decide to throw more rice in it than the recipe calls for. And you could also use a chicken broth here. Vegetable or chicken broth, whatever you have is perfect. So our burgers are looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and flip them so we can get the other side all done. One thing you don't want to do, which I am definitely guilty of, I'm not sure why, it's just ingrained in me. You want to make sure that you're not pushing all the juices out of your burgers. This is with any meat that you're doing. When you flatten it and you push it really hard to flatten all the way, you're pushing out all of those yummy juices that are inside that keep it nice and juicy. You don't want to dry out your meat. I'm guilty of doing that. I don't know what it is. It's just something I've done for many years before I really got into cooking. But my husband always fusses at me because he doesn't want dry meat, of course. So try not to over push them. Once you flip them, you can press them down a little bit, but then leave them alone, let them cook fully, and that way it'll help to soak up some of that juice so that it's not really, really dry. And we've got about 3 cups of vegetable broth here, and what this one is actually going to have to sit for 20 to 25 minutes. So it doesn't actually take that long to make it. It's just a matter of chopping your ingredients, throwing it all together. But then it does have to sit. Now, if you have something like an Instant Pot or an electric pressure cooker, you could definitely make this recipe in that. And I think it would be really, really good. Just adjust the time based on using that option. We've got lots of colors going on, so this might not be, I think it's a pretty good meal to put together, but I eat almost anything, so I'm not too picky. But this could be something that you've got your meat, you still have some veggies within your burgers, and then you've got lots of vegetables within your vegetable jambalaya as well. And so this recipe, I mean, both of these recipes are really great if you are trying to eat on a budget, if you're trying to make your meat stretch further. I did want to mention we use the 93% lean ground beef. Of course, that's going to be more expensive than if you're buying like the 80%, 85% lean. So you could opt for a different type. You could do ground turkey or ground chicken or ground pork instead. Just try to use those leaner options just because it does help to cut back on that saturated fat. So this could be a little bit more expensive, but remember we're doing the mushrooms in here and we got even more burgers than our recipe called for. You could probably cut those down even further if you really wanted to. So this is a really great option for you if you're trying to stretch the food that you're getting at the grocery store. We have tons of programs here at Extension where we focus on stretching your budget. So there are even some agents, A&T definitely has agents, FCS agents who teach on finances and child development, things like that. So we've got different components as well in those areas. Our EFNEP program focuses a lot on really saving money, stretching your food dollars further. So we've got tons of programs that really do focus on this, and this is why it's such a great topic to talk about for our Living Well month. So we're gonna let these finish up. Of course, temp check those, and we'll show you guys what it looks like when it's all done. But thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you guys next time.